As teachers, we've been told time and again that we need to reimagine our role in the 21st century, that we're no longer mere subject experts who impart our knowledge to our students, but rather facilitators of inquiry who support learners as they construct meaning, as they make sense of the world around them. Now, I certainly believe that there's something to this, and that we have an obligation as teachers to promote self-directed learning and guided inquiry wherever possible. But how does this look concretely for teachers in their role? And how do we move from what Alison King once deemed the sage on the stage to the guide on the side and the meddler in the middle? In this episode in our series on pedagogy, I'm going to share some insights and concrete examples of how this looks, both at NLS and at Louisenlund's IB World School. And if you aren't lucky enough to be a teacher at one of those schools, perhaps you can apply some of these aspects to your own pedagogical context and practice. But if you are teaching with us at NLS or at Louisenlund, this will be a helpful intro or refresher to your role as an instructional coach as you support students in taking ownership of their learning. Perfect place to begin this discussion is right here in one of our learning studios, the home of studio time. Now, studio time are self-directed learning phases in which students exercise control over the time, the pace, the path, and to a certain extent, the place of their learning, to quote Michael Horn. Studio time consists of self-directed learning phases, and the name derives from design thinking because we want each one of our learners to think of themselves as co-designers of their learning experiences who create their own personal educational stories by exercising an enhanced level of agency, autonomy, and ownership of their learning. During studio time, students choose what tasks they want to work on, for how long, and how they approach it, meaning they get to prioritize and to design a significant portion of their timetable week by week in the pursuit of personalized learning goals. But we don't leave them alone in this process. Rather, at NLS and at Louisenlund, self-directed learning is scaffolded first and foremost by the presence of qualified subject teachers, one for each broader subject area: humanities, STEM, languages, and the arts. However, teachers are often confused about what exactly their role is in studio time. And the simple answer to that question is that they are active facilitators of inquiry, or learning coaches, if you will. But what does that mean concretely, and what does effective facilitation look like? Let's tease that out a little bit. And to do so, I would like to use Pretorius et al.'s framework, 3 basic dimensions of instructional quality, and they are cognitive activation, constructive support, and classroom management. Let's begin with cognitive activation. Now, this is just another way of saying igniting thought or spurning on inquiry. How can teachers best do this? Let's begin with the simplest factor, and that is movement. Active monitoring in the learning studio or in the classrooms means teachers moving about at regular intervals whenever they're not busy supporting individuals or groups of students. Studies show that teacher movement through the learning spaces enhances students' attention, focus, and therefore also their cognition. Next, show learners attention. Use metacognitive prompts or questions to activate cognition. At NLS and at Louisenlund, teachers will know which subject area a student is working in based on their log on the timetabling software. Approach those students working in your subject area or group first. Ask them what they're currently working on, and ensure they can briefly explain the task instructions in their own words. Have them articulate their learning goals and strategies related to the task at hand. Ask them if they've completed a task like this before and what strategies they used in the past, as well as how well they worked. A brief reflective component can really ignite the spark and help learners who are stuck or having difficulty getting started. Now, if a student is struggling to grasp content or concepts or even skills in your subject area, You may shift your role for a moment from that of metacognitive facilitator to subject expert, or better yet, a combination of both. Constructive support involves helping individuals or groups of students solve a problem or overcome a hurdle within a particular task that is usually subject-specific. Sit down with the student or group of students and offer your assistance. Advise them on the best possible approach or learning strategy for the task at hand. Find out if they have all the resources needed to complete the task, and where necessary, help them search for them. When offering constructive support, remember that your help should be given in a manner that is befitting scaffolding and not just completing the task for them. One important aspect is to show interest when asking questions and engaging in the discussion. Students should see that you care and that the task they are completing, which matters to them, is also important to you. Use follow-up questions and a positive demeanor to show your engagement. Simply showing interest in students' learning can be highly motivating for them. This brings us to classroom management. Creating a positive learning environment is one of a teacher's key roles and challenges. The learning spaces within a school and the atmosphere therein can have a huge impact on learner motivation and outcomes. When facilitating in studio time or when monitoring in any learning space, it's important for teachers to ensure that there's a constructive working atmosphere. Now, this doesn't mean that it has to be as silent as a library in the space, but there should be a noise level that's appropriate and conducive to working, even when teamwork and collaboration between learners is in full swing. Ensure that learners are comfortable and constructively occupied in the learning space. And if you notice that a student is distracted, downtrodden, or disengaged, offer your help and support. Allowing students a say in their learning journey, empowering them to become co-designers of their learning experiences, is a hallmark of good instructional practice in the 21st century. Remember, you aren't first and foremost a subject expert and the fount of all knowledge and wisdom. You are a facilitator of inquiry and your students' biggest cheerleader and support. Through cognitive activation, constructive support, and effective classroom management, you will help motivate students to take ownership of their learning, to experience self-efficacy, and to develop independence. Let's help our learners get into the driver's seat and take their education to the next level as they create their own personal educational stories. We'll see you next time.